Hello, you're very welcome along here on Eurosport to the World Games, coming to you from Lahti in Finland. And over the next hour or so, we're going to concentrate on the bowling competition, which has attracted interest from all over the world. We begin in this programme with a look at the final of the mixed doubles between the Australians and the Malaysians, and that's the scoreline after the first game, first of 10 frames. We now pick it up in the second series of 10 frames with the Malaysians leading. I'm Matt Chilton, and alongside me is the coach to the Canadian squad, Craig Woodhouse. Craig, welcome along to Eurosport, and it's an intriguing lineup between these two pairs, isn't it?
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, and yeah, it is. It's a very intriguing lineup. These bowlers bowled great all week to get here, so I'm sure we'll see a very exciting match right now.
This is Sharon Low of Malaysia. First frame of the second game. Very graceful action and four left. That's not as good as some of the bowling we've seen from her.
Well, what she did, unfortunately, she pulled the ball just a little bit inside of her target, and hopefully she can make her spare.
Meanwhile, Cara Honeychurch has been bowling superbly throughout this competition and begins the second game with an excellent strike.
Something that I'm sure Cara does quite often is strike. She's currently ranked #1 lady bowler in the world, so we'll look forward to watching her.
Back to Sharon Low. This spare ball. It's a tough one. She's got 4 to go, and she gets them nicely.
And that spare is actually very tricky because the pin, there is a pin behind the other pin, so you need a little bit of curve at the end to make sure you get that back pin away.
Well, the coaches, that's one of your fellow Canadians coaching the Malaysians, isn't it?
Yeah, Sid Allen from Winnipeg. He is currently in Malaysia. I believe he's been there about 6 years now, and he's done a wonderful job with the Malaysian squad.
That was Andrew Frawley, Cara Honeychurch's partner, bowling just one left for him. Meanwhile, we'll pick up on Dan Lim, the Malaysian. Not as good as we've seen from him. He's got a difficult split there, hasn't he?
Yeah, that is a tough one, and I think Daniel just decreased his ball speed a little bit, and he's paid the price for that one.
And Frawley goes for his spare. That should be easy enough.
And right now, I think the Malaysians, what they're trying to do is just what we call play defense. They have a comfortable lead going into the second game, and right now they're hopefully trying to stay clean, make their spares, and force the Australians to string a lot of strikes together to catch up.
Yeah, the Malaysians, Dan Lim, they're just unable to get all 3 down, so just 9 out of 10 down in the 2 bowls. And we'll pick up now with Cara Honeychurch, who was actually voted World Bowler of the Year in 1996, so she's an experienced and accomplished bowler.
Yeah, Cara, I think there's a little movement behind there. It's distracted her, so obviously she did the intelligent thing to step back and wait until she's comfortable. Bowling mentally, it's a very strong game mentally, and you have to be comfortable and you have to have clear thoughts before you start your approach, so she did the right thing.
TV cameras either side of the alley that they're using for competition. Now let's see if she's been affected by that. Not at all, and a strike for Cara Honeychurch.
An excellent shot there, and I think with Daniel having a split in the first frame, the Australians now have gained about 20 pins into that 60-pin lead that the Malaysians had.
Cara Honeychurch, 25-year-old from Melbourne, Victoria. And now back to Sharon Low. And she replies with a strike as well.
The Malaysian bowlers they've actually bowled very well this week. It's for me personally, I was very impressed watching them. They work very well together as a team.
Now, Andrew Frawley, 33-year-old from New South Wales, continues his erratic form. He's been up and down, really, hasn't he? He's kind of...
He has, yeah, I know he started out the first game today struggling a little bit. I'm sure he's not very pleased with his performance, and he's hoping to redeem himself in this match.
Daniel Lim trying to hook one in. Oh, not good.
Yeah, it looks like what is also happening is the lanes are what we call breaking down. The balls are starting to hook a little more than they were earlier. there's a fine, thin layer of oil that is on the lane. It's a conditioner, and it dissipates and it moves around as you bowl. So I think what's happening now, the bowlers are experiencing this, and they're going to have to make some adjustments.
Do you find that the lanes vary tremendously from one venue to another?
They really do. Yeah, I relate it to golf. You read the green of a golf course, you have to read the lanes. And when we bowl our competitions, you go from lane to lane, and every lane is totally different. You have to read the lane off the reaction of your bowling ball, and then make some, hopefully, intelligent decisions as to what you need to do to get to the pocket area.
So obviously they've had some time before the competition to get used to the lane, but they're still up against it. It's not like bowling on your home lane.
Oh, yeah. And there's always variables, and it changes day by day. So there's never a black and white rule.
Another strike from Cara Honeychurch. She's bowled quite superbly. And I know that speaking to Andrew earlier, he was a little concerned about the presence of the TV. He said he hadn't bowled in front of the TV cameras very often, and he was a little concerned about that. Now back with the Malaysians to Sharon Lowe. Another strike from her. So far the women seem to be getting the better of this match.
Yeah, so far the women seem to be handling the pressure a little better than the men. Absolutely. I find, though, in mixed doubles, it tends to be more important how the women perform rather than the men. The women seem to lead the way in these competitions.
Now let's see if Andrew can compose himself. Important stage of the match. The Australians closing the gap slowly on the Malaysians. Oh, terrific.
That was an excellent shot by Andrew. If you notice, he does hook the ball quite a bit. He has a lot of revolutions on the ball. And what that does is the angle of entry, the greater angle of entry into the pocket area, increases your strike percentage.
Daniel Lim, again hooking one in. Not quite as successfully as his opponent. And there's two left standing there.
Now, if you remember Daniel, the last time on that lane, he pulled the ball and he went a little high. So what he's done, he's made an adjustment. It looks like he's made an overcorrection because now he's missed to the other side.
Right. Sharon watching on intently. And there's tension all around this arena now. Good crowding. Daniel now goes for the spare. And gets it. Is it a different ball that the players would use for taking the spares out, or would they just use the same ball?
No, a lot of the top players now will use different bowling balls. Bowling balls are made of different materials, so if you get a bowling ball made of plastic, it's a hard plastic, it doesn't hook very much, so a lot of them will use that for spare shooting. For strikes, of course, you want a ball to hook, and you want to generate that angle, so you need softer balls, which grip the lane a little more and give you a little more traction.
Right. Now here's Cara Honeychurch again, left-hander. Isn't she bowling well?
I believe now they're within 30 pins of catching the Malaysians because of Cara's performance so far.
It's the perfect scoreboard so far for Cara Honeychurch. 4 X's in a row. The dream score, of course, is 300, which, as you mentioned earlier, a little like golf, but like a hole-in-one, a 300 score.
It is. It's exciting for a bowler to get a 300. It's always very, very tense, that last shot, of course, because everything is riding on the last ball.
9 down on that occasion. Now, Cara Honeychurch, the Australian, has never actually achieved a 300. She's done a 299. That must be the most frustrating thing, to get one from the dream score.
Yeah, I was surprised to hear that, actually. I thought Cara, of her caliber, she would have had one by now, but I'm sure it won't be long. She'll get one shortly.
Now back with Andrew Frawley. 4th frame. He leaves himself 3 on that one.
And Andrew, that was just a mistake. He ran a little bit, pulled up at the line, and you can see him motioning with his arm. He didn't follow through properly.
Sharon Lowe. She goes for her spare. Just clips it in time.
And you can see the advantage there of a hard bowling ball. It slid just enough to catch that pin and knock it over.
Back with Andrew Frawley. And he takes all 3 out with the spare. That was a good clean-up act from him after an untidy first ball. And his scorecard not as clean as his partner's, who's got X's all the way through, as we move back across to the other lane to Daniel. Daniel.
Well, I'm sure that's going to make him feel just a little better. He's had a miserable start this game, and that's his first strike of this this game. So he may be lined up now, as we say. He's playing the lanes properly, and maybe now we'll see a few more strikes out of Daniel.
So scores very even now as we move to the 5th frame of 10, and Cara Honeychurch will get the 5th frame underway. It's great to watch. She just hooks that around. Unbelievable stuff, really. Yeah. Does that require an awful lot of strength in the wrist?
It does, but the key thing is technique. And what it is, it's the very last second, just before you let the ball go, you have to rotate your hand around the ball, and Cara does that perfectly.
Well, it's all X's so far. I wonder if this can be the day when she gets that elusive 300. Meanwhile, we go back to Sharon, who leaves one standing. She'll need the spare to dispatch that one.
That shot was a little inside of her target, and she could have had a split there. She was close to a split, but fortunately she just has a simple 1-pin spare to make, and it should be no trouble for her.
Now Andrew. 96 Australian Masters champion. Yeah, he didn't quite get that one far enough to the right. It seemed to hook round a little too much for him on that occasion.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. The ball picked up the lane and started hooking a little too quickly, and it wouldn't skid to the right for him. So Andrew, because he has the big hook ball, he's more subjected to the lane conditions and the changing lane conditions. So he has to stay on top of things to start striking.
Sharon Lowe has a respectable scorecard, although not as impressive as that of her counterpart. Meanwhile, Frawley tidies up. 2 remaining, comfortably dispatched. One thing I like about Andrew, Craig, is that he smiles all the way through this, doesn't he?
Yeah, he seems to be very casual. He seems to be having a good time out there, and I think Cara, who's a little more intense, probably it's a good match with her. It makes her feel probably a little more relaxed.
I found this actually entirely throughout the World Games. It's just so much more relaxed than say, the Olympics or something like that. It's the competitors are exchanging high fives with each other, and everybody gets on well, and there's plenty of chit-chat going between the two. It's a nice feel about the World Games.
Yeah.
Now, Daniel Lim. He's got spare ball here. Oh, he should have had 3 really with that one, shouldn't he?
Well, that's a pretty tricky spare. You have the pin behind, and if you don't get enough hook on your ball, you're going to miss it, and that's exactly what happened with Daniel.
66 the score for Daniel Lim, and they're still very, very evenly matched. The Australians close down the gap, and that's mainly to do with Cara Honeychurch, who has struck out without fail in this second session. The 6th frame now. And the left-hander going for another strike, possibly. Yes, indeed. Faultless bowling so far from Cara Honeychurch. This is impressive stuff from her. Look at that scorecard.
Wow. So that may have been her best shot of the match so far. I watched Cara in Atlanta last year at an bowling exhibition at the Olympics, and she won.
She won that, yeah.
And she was outstanding there as well.
Now here's Sharon.
Now.
9 out of 10.
A very good shot. It's one of the things in 10-pin bowling you'll see. Everything looks just right, and you'll see that corner pin stand sometimes. And again, it's very sensitive, the angle of entry. And if her entry was just a little bit off, you'll leave that corner pin.
Frawley now picks up things in the 6th frame. Pensive Cara Honeychurch looking on. Andrew Frawley. Terrific. He got some spin on that one, didn't he?
Yes, he did. And he moved a little bit left with his feet on the lane, and that generated a little more skid. And now he's back in where he should be in the pocket.
105 points at the moment for Andrew Frawley, and the 2 pairs very evenly matched. Just a matter of a few pins between them. That's an interesting looking ball that Sharon's using there. Craig,
yeah,
what's that all about?
That is, it's a hard plastic ball. It's when they make it in the factory, they swirl the plastic around, and what that does is it makes the ball skid. The ball will not hook on the lane at all, so it is a very good ball for shooting spares.
So approaching the end of the 6th frame, Daniel Lim. His score has suffered a little bit in this second session and could do with a good sixth frame here to put the pressure back on the Australians, and he does just that. An excellent performance from Daniel Lim, and that moves things again evenly along. We're going to take a quick commercial break here on Eurosport. We'll hope you'll join us in a few minutes from now. Welcome back. Cara Honeychurch gets things underway in the 7th frame here at the World Games mixed doubles bowling final. Again, she's been disturbed by something. Tell us about the weight of the bowls, Craig. Do they differ from player to player?
Well, they do, but typically the best players will use bowling balls that weigh 16 pounds.
Right.
And when you consider the effort there and bowling, some of them will practice some 20 games a day. It's a lot of weight. It definitely takes something out of you throwing that kind of weight down the lane. And
it would be the same weight for the men as for the women?
Absolutely, yeah. The women,
no difference at all.
The ladies do use 16-pounders as well.
And Cara continues to be the leading light in this final. Would it not, therefore, if they're using the same weight of balls, is it not time for the sport to come together and for the women and the men to compete on equal terms?
That's a delicate subject, but I would say the women simply aren't physically strong enough to compete with the men. The men being stronger, the ball doesn't feel as heavy to them. Right. They can throw it a little harder, generate a little more revolutions, and of course that would give them a better percentage for strikes.
So in theory they do have the advantage just because of their strength. Okay.
Although I've lost to women many times.
Well, so far this lady on the screen now, Cara Honeychurch, is putting her partner Andrew Frawley and her opponent Daniel Lim to shame. Let's see how Andrew can perform now in this 7th frame. Yeah, 8 down and 2 to go.
And again, you can see Andrew, he's gesturing to himself to stay down and relax because he's getting a little fast with his feet and he's popping up at the line and pulling the shot.
Sharon Lowe looking to take out the 2 spare, and she does that comfortably.
Now with Cara's last strike there within, I believe, 10 pins, so the match now is virtually tied.
Here's Frawley going for his 2 spares, and that was easy enough for him. 125 points, you can see. Just talk us through the scorecard there, the X's and the slashes.
Well, the way it works is a spare, if you get a spare in a frame, you add, the spare counts as 10, and then you add whatever you get on your next shot to that frame. If you get a strike, you add what you get on your next 2 shots.
Right, okay.
And it's a little complicated, but once you get the hang of it, it's not too bad. But ultimately, a 300, if you get 3 strikes in a row, that counts as 30 for your first frame.
Okay, so 300 is the dream score. You really want X's all the way across your card.
Yes, that's correct.
Daniel Lim. Inconsistent match so far. Oh, but that's better now from him. And the pressure moves really back to the Australians now.
Absolutely. That's 2 in a row now for Daniel, as you see. And again, like I said, the next shot now, if he gets 9, that will add 29 to 66, which gives him 95. Now that was a very critical strike.
What's that? A juggling ball in his hand?
Well, it's a rosin bag is what it is. It's just to keep your hands dry and make sure you have good grip on the bowling ball.
Okay. Cara Honeychurch. Strike from her. This 300 dream score is getting closer for her, isn't it?
Yep, that's 8 in a row now for Cara, and that puts the match back to even again. And I'm sure the pressure's mounting a little bit for Cara right now.
Well, let's keep our fingers crossed that we can see the best that the sport has to offer here. Sharon Lowe. 8th frame. And that was pretty good, just 1 standing for her.
Very respectable shot. I'm sure she's happy with the result of that. It could have been a split quite easily again. So she should make this spare.
Now Frawley needs a strike here. He's just taking his time and composing himself.
You can see the bowlers seem to be taking a little more time now as the match's getting closer and also towards the end.
Needs a strike, Frawley. Oh, and he jumped up expecting one. It didn't quite get it, and that pin on the right wobbled and thought about going over, but didn't. A look of disappointment on the face of both of them, really, and that's moved the advantage firmly back to the Malaysians as Sharon Lowe goes for her spare and gets it.
And Andrew's spare is a little tricky. He has to hit it on the right side of the first pin and let the ball slide over and get the other pin. So it's not an easy spare right now, and it's a very crucial time of the match.
So this shot has to be 100% accurate, otherwise the ball is going to go off in the opposite direction.
Yep. And you can see sliding it across to get the deflection, and well done.
I think he knew that was right from the moment it left his hand.
Yep. You can see Cara's a little relieved.
So the final shot of the 8th frame from Lim is a strike.
Well, Daniel now is lined up on the lanes, and he now has 3 in a row, so he's put his team back into contention.
The Malaysians edge slightly ahead of the Australians with 2 frames remaining in this 10-frame second game. Australians pull it right back to level pegging, but now the Malaysians just begin to get away. It's Honeychurch again, and that's the end of her perfect run. What a shame.
What a heartbreak. That was actually, she threw the ball very well. It could have been a strike with a few breaks, but it's disappointing for her because not only does she not continue striking, but she now has a problem making a spare. And at this time of the match is not a good thing.
Sharon Lowe in the 9th frame. Just one down in the previous one and the same in this one, 1 left standing.
But I think that's okay.
Oh, that's not okay. That was Sharon, I think. Yeah, it was. Oh, and she missed both of them.
Yeah, what she did, she went for the spare. She tried to slide the pin across and hit the other pin. That's the only way you can make that. And she missed them both completely. And now, because of the count factor, that becomes a very critical miss right there.
Now, that could have been a crucial moment, and how unfortunate, how ironic that Cara Honeychurch, who was bowled superbly all the way through, should make a mistake like that at such a crucial time. Sharon selecting the appropriate ball. There's Daniel watching on. He's played his part, but Sharon's scorecard so far is more respectable than his. This is her spare ball. Easy enough.
Spare well done, and especially at this time of the match, that's very important.
Respectable looking scorecard from her, isn't it?
Yeah, Sharon is a very steady player.
Coach is looking really reasonably contented with things as Andrew Frawley comes in for the 9th frame, desperately trying to compose himself. As I mentioned earlier, the presence of the TV cameras has freaked him out a little bit. He needs to put that out of his mind now. Started bowling when he was 16, so I suppose that's a reasonably late start, is it, Craig?
Yeah, it is. It's a little late. Obviously, he's picked it up very well, though, with that result.
Could be that strike will come a little late, though, for the Australians, who have been in the mix, but have now dropped away, and the Malaysians could possibly seize the opportunity.
You can hear Sharon yelling in the background there. That was a very critical shot, and actually Daniel did a very good job. He hit the pocket well, and again, one of those delicate things where you leave a corner pin when you feel in your heart you throw it right, but it's not quite right.
So Daniel goes again, 1 remaining, and he gets that.
That was well done.
145 points now for Daniel Lim of Malaysia, and I think they can sense, you can tell by their body language that they know this one is possibly there for the taking now.
Well, you can see they're well trained. They're very composed. They feel in control. Doesn't look like there's any stress at all there.
Now here's Cara. She continues to impress. After that faultless early start, it's still been a very good second part of the competition, as you can see from that scorecard.
Cara's obviously bowled an excellent game, and again, that shot was a very good shot. She threw it where she wanted to. 10th frame now. This is it. This is what it's all about right now.
10th frame for Sharon. Yeah, and a strike. Terrific stuff, and she's having a good time now.
Yes, she's delivered when she's had to. And if she gets another one now, that will give her an extra 10 pins, and they will gain on the Australians.
Just the thing you were mentioning to me earlier about how the Australians are amateurs, but the Malaysians are professionals. They bowl for a living.
Well, what they do is they train constantly. The attitude in Asia is a little different than the attitude where we come from. They have the opportunity to train and practice together as a team every day. And when they go to these international competitions, you can definitely see the difference and the dramatic improvement they've made. You know, 5 years ago, Asia was not a very strong force in 10-pin bowling, but now they are.
And they're making big money out of it as well.
They are doing very well. And independently, they are all doing extremely well. The government is quite generous to them.
So it's all over for Cara. Here's Sharon. How about that? Another strike. And the pressure's firmly off her now, and you can tell by the way she's bowling, the action and just the way she's approaching this part of the game is just totally relaxed.
And that was a critical shot right there, and that now has put the Malaysians back in front. And now it's up to Andrew to throw 2 strikes himself to put the match back to the Malaysians. You can see what he's doing there is he's wiping the conditioner off his ball. There's a thin conditioner that goes on the lane and it gets on your equipment from time to time, so he's wiping it off.
Taking his time, and it's understandable, because he needs to bowl perfectly now for the Australians to have any chance of a gold medal here.
No, he is, I'm sure, not pleased with that shot at all. And,
well, at least he can smile. That's good to see.
well, he's smiling on the outside, but I believe inside he doesn't feel too good with himself.
Sharon again. And 9 out of 10 on that occasion.
Really well done. She performed very, very well.
And 212 her total score. As Andrew steps up to try and get rid of these final 5. Oh, and nearly.
Now that broke the Australians' back, that shot there. Had he spared that, they still have a chance. I believe Andrew now, if he throws a strike in the 10th frame, or pardon me, Daniel, if he throws a strike in the 10th frame, the gold medal belongs to the Malaysians.
So Daniel Lim steps up for possibly a gold medal throw. Yeah, and you could tell by the crowd noise that they knew it was good. Daniel did as well, and that's put it beyond any recovery now from the Australians.
That was well done. He threw that. That was probably his best shot of the entire game, and that's when it counted the most.
So it's just going through the formalities now, really, for the Malaysians. Sharon looks reasonably pleased. Daniel, for the moment, remains composed and concentrated. Yeah, nearly perfect. Just the one remaining.
Yeah, that was enough right there. And so I believe this is the first world gold medal the Malaysians have ever won. So that's a major, major step for them. They've come a long way in 5-6 years.
So the sport has developed considerably in the last few years for the Malaysians. And just to round things off now, Daniel will get rid of this last pin. And he does that comfortably enough. And now the celebrations can really begin. Congratulations from Sid, the coach, to the Malaysian pair. Commiserations to the Australians, but they're gracious in defeat. I guess in the end it all comes down to numbers, and it's those numbers, 838 to Malaysia, 816 to Australia. There's plenty more bowling from the World Games in Lahti. It's coming your way on Eurosport after this break. Stay where you are. Welcome back, and now we concentrate on the women's individual stepladder final. It's between this lady, Patricia Schwartz of Germany. She's up against Isabelle Saldjian of France. We pick up the action in the second game of 10 frames, and there's a lead established already by Patricia Schwartz in the first game of 191 to 179, and she started off well here in the second series, Craig.
Yeah, she has. Patricia has a comfortable lead right now, and you can see with her high backswing, she has a lot of power on the ball, and so far that's paying off for her.
Husband looking on, 20th overall at the 97 European Championship, so she's on that form she's improved considerably to get where she is in these World Games individual finals.
And you can see her fundamentals are very good, and when she does shoot her spares, she's very consistent with her spare shooting. And in this kind of competition with a long format with lots of games, that is very important.
Be cool and relaxed throughout this competition. Hasn't let the stress or the importance of the occasion get to her at all. She's remained very calm, and I think that's probably helped her play.
You can see her positioning her feet in the right location, making sure everything is right, and she's comfortable and ready to go.
Almost a slow motion approach, isn't it?
Well, she is. She's very methodical, and that's a very good thing. Like I said, these bowlers this week have bowled 28 games to get this far, so overall the consistency and that kind of organization in her thought process does pay off.
Now she's picked up the pink ball, which is her spare ball, which, as we mentioned earlier in the show, is a different sort of ball to the one she would normally use for the first bowl. She's got these two pins to take out. That's Isabelle Saldjian watching on with her coach, and she's got some work to do in this final, as Patricia should and does take out the two extra pins, and a respectable looking scorecard for her.
And you can see, as long as Patricia stays clean and makes her spares, she's forcing now Isabelle to throw a few strikes, and she must get the strikes going now, or I think Patricia is very comfortable.
Isabelle Saldjian from France, bronze at the 93 World Games. The last time they were held in The Hague, that was in the mixed doubles competition, so she's been in a final before.
Very respectable shot for Isabelle. She did hit the pocket, is the ultimate goal, and unfortunately she did leave that corner pin.
Can be a bit of a lottery, I guess, when you do hit the pocket as to whether they're all going to go down or not.
It is at times, especially when you're bowling and you think you do everything right and they don't fall. It tends to be frustrating sometimes. But when you do analyze the reasons, there are legitimate reasons why these things stand up.
Successful spare, and a few more points added to her tally. But still, she's really needs to be hitting the strikes to get back in contention in this women's final. It's a prestigious tournament in bowling, the World Games, especially for the Europeans. Yeah, 7 down, and she's not particularly happy with that, and that leaves her a difficult split, doesn't it?
That is a tough one, and I think now that Patricia's in very good shape, and I think Isabelle, after the result of that shot, is aware of it, and if you look at the face of the French coach, I think he's aware of it as well.
And what about these three? She's going to have to be totally accurate to have any chance with these, isn't she?
Yeah, she's got to get to the left side of that pin, and she did go for it, but she went a little too far, and I think she's, you could see by her waving her hand that she's basically saying goodbye to the gold medal.
That takes the pressure off Patricia Schwartz now, who has the time and the composure just to get ready as her husband watches on. Patricia Schwartz from Germany, on the verge of possibly her greatest achievement in her bowling career thus far. Gives us an opportunity looking at her shoes, and the shoes are important, aren't they, Craig?
Yeah, they are. What happens is the approaches are always different wherever you bowl in the world, and you need to have the shoes to adapt to the sticky approaches or the slippery approaches. So the shoes that Patricia's wearing are interchangeable. The soles are interchangeable to to adjust to the variety of approaches.
And on her left, on the left sole of the shoe, there would be a different texture to the right sole of the shoe.
Right, the left shoe, because she is right-handed, she would slide with her left foot, and that would adjust to the approaches. And actually, the right shoe would have a pad for traction.
Right. As you mentioned, such a methodical approach, and well, that one wasn't so good, but generally it's been paying off, and she's got a good attitude towards all this. And I think she can afford to have that attitude because she's moving steadily ahead of Isabelle Saldjian now.
Yeah, I think now that Patricia realizes that she does have the title, and she acted as though she wasn't very pleased with her performance, but I'm sure inside she's absolutely thrilled.
And the spare ball is successful. She moves one step further to the ultimate goal.
I spoke a little earlier about lane conditions and the what we say the oil pattern on the lanes, and it does look like the left lane here is hooking, or it's a little drier than the right lane. So the girls so far have been consistently high on the left lane. We'll see if she makes an adjustment on her fill shot.
Very good. Another strike for Patricia Schwartz. 204, the total for her in the second series of 10 frames, and it's really just a matter of Isabelle now going through the motions. Celebrations won't begin in full just yet because there's a matter of tidying up, finishing off for Isabelle Saldjian, but she knows, as does everybody else, there's nothing she can do about it now. She'll hope to at least go out with a moment or two of glory here. It'd be nice if she could finish with a strike.
Yes, it would.
Oh, very nearly.
Another good shot, and she did leave a corner pin again, but she knows it's over, and I'm sure she's very pleased. She had a wonderful week, and getting a silver medal is certainly nothing to be ashamed of.
I've admired about this sport during the few days that it's been taking place at the World Games is that everybody's been smiling, winning or losing. Everybody's been gracious in victory or defeat, and Isabelle, as you can see, keeps smiling through despite the fact that she's been beaten in this important women's final.
It's a very nice attitude in this particular games as far as camaraderie and the teams pulling for each other. It was an absolute pleasure to be here this week.
Oh, and again, so close. Just one remaining. So she's got to finish it off. No, she hasn't. She's going to call it a day there, and that's a kiss for the coach and a smile from Isabelle Saldjian. The total score in favor of Patricia Schwartz, 395 to 345. So the gold medal will go to Patricia Schwartz, and we can hear from her now. She said, the question was, you must be very happy, and she says, yes, I'm thrilled. It wasn't easy, but in the end, what does it mean to you? Patricia, she said, it's very important for me to have won this championship. Was it a hard competition? Yeah, the first 2 days were really tough, but I've come through it now, and I've won, and that's the main thing. I'm very happy. And what's next for you? Well, the next stage for me is the World Championships in the United Arab Emirates, and I hope I can do as well there as I have here. So the gold medal goes to Patricia Schwartz, the silver medal to Isabelle Saldjian from France, and the bronze to the Korean. Join us after the break, there's more. Last time to the Lahti Bowling Centre. The men's final now between Vernon Peterson of the USA and Gery Verbruggen from Belgium. And in the first game of 10 frames, it was Gery Verbruggen, the Belgian, who came through with a score of 236 to Vernon Peterson's 210. And we pick it up now in the 7th frame with Peterson about to use his spare ball and using it successfully.
This has developed into a very close match right now. As you see on the screen, Vernon has thrown 4 strikes in a row from the 2nd frame to the 5th frame, and he has closed the gap considerably, so the match now is virtually even.
Peterson. On the right of those two. Now it's our first chance to see him with his first ball going for the strike. This is in the 8th, 9th frame for Vernon Peterson.
Well, Vernon got away with that one. That was a bit of a break. He got it a little bit inside his target, and fortunately for him, he carried the 4-pin.
Now Gery Verbruggen from Belgium, European champion in the overall in 1997. Finished 7th in the singles in that competition. So, like Patricia Schwartz in the women's category, he is looking for his first major title here.
Gery bowled absolutely wonderful this week. He averaged 251, if you can believe it, in his 10 games of qualifying to lead the field to get on the show today.
He's got a mean look in his eye, hasn't he? He wants a win, and he's enjoying the strikes, and there's been plenty of them in this second game.
Well, and that strike was very critical. Now he has a 10-pin lead, and you're right, you can see the intensity in his eyes and in his face, and he means business.
Vernon Peterson, the American, his opponent recently won a big competition in Las Vegas called the Eliminator, picked up $30,000 US. Big money available for the very best in this sport in the US and increasingly in Europe, but particularly, as we mentioned earlier, in Asia.
I'm sure that's loosened up Vernon's arm swing a little bit, that
Yeah.
$30,000.
Now, Gery Verbruggen. Another strike coming thick and fast.
And again, now Gery has regained his 20-pin lead, and Vernon has to respond right now.
The American national champion in 1996.
Vernon's game is a little bit different than a lot of the American top amateurs. Most of them tend to hook the ball and throw the ball a little harder. Vernon is a little more smoother and a little more deliberate.
Oh, that 10th one is thinking about it, but still thinking about it. No, too late now.
That was a critical shot right there. Vernon needed that strike to stay close and keep the pressure on Gery, so he definitely has to make this spare.
Yeah, he's not likely, I suppose, under normal circumstances to miss a spare like that.
No,
a man of his experience.
Yeah, at this level, these bowlers, they rarely miss spares.
So, Vernon Peterson with it all to do now. Gery Verbruggen has been on sparkling form. Here's Peterson again. Oh dear.
And you can see I think by the look on his face, he thought he threw it pretty good. And if you recall the frame prior to that on the left lane, he did go a little high and got away with it. I mentioned the break he got. So he may have made an adjustment and he just moved too far. And unfortunately, he's left this small split to shoot at.
Oh, and he's got him.
He's made it.
That was a crucial ball from Peterson. I don't think even Verbruggen can believe that. He's showing his appreciation for that shot. That was a difficult split with 5 pins remaining.
That is very difficult to spare, yeah.
Yeah, it seems to be going more the way of Gery Verbruggen. 220 for Vernon Peterson is not going to be enough to prevent this man from taking the World Games gold medal, and that will be the highlight of his career.
Yeah, this is, I think it's just a formality now. Gery just has to keep it on the lane, and I believe he has his first gold medal.
Gery Verbruggen from Belgium, still with that aggressive, meaningful look in his eye. Oh, 9 out of 10 on that occasion. Not that it really matters. That scorecard with plenty of X's indicating the strikes achieved is a good one, and Verbruggen has bowled exceptionally well. It's an interesting looking ball, Craig.
Yeah, that is a plastic ball. It's by another manufacturer, but again, the ball is designed not to hook very much, so it's very simple to make your spares with that ball.
As he does. To the tail end of the 10th frame now for Gery Verbruggen of Belgium.
Gery's very popular. I noticed this week a lot of the bowlers seem to like him. He's fun. He's always smiling when he's off the lanes, not on the lanes as you can see, but I'm sure he'll be a very popular champion.
Go, and he thought that was going to be a strike, but it doesn't matter. Gery Verbruggen with a score of 227 in the second game takes the gold medal for Belgium. Vernon Peterson on this occasion has to settle for the silver, but he'll be back for more in the future. It's been an epic battle between them. In the end, Gery Verbruggen getting the better of it, and we can hear from him right now.
It couldn't be, it's perfect. Is this the best thing in your career? I think so. A month ago I won the European Championships, all events, but this tournament, it means a lot for me. I started the first session on the right side of the bowling center, and it was different than in the practice. So, and I couldn't find any shot. But the day after I think the left side of the bowling is better for the left-handers. So when I found a shot, and it went all the way up.
There was no problems on the final session?
No, not at all, because it was the same shot like Saturday morning. So I couldn't easily play the ball for the same shot.
How are you going to celebrate this victory?
I don't know yet, but it's going to be a big party, I think so.
Okay, thank you and congratulations.
Thank you.
I imagine the party will be one worth going to as Gery Verbruggen accepts his gold medal, the silver for Vernon Peterson, the bronze to the big Malaysian, who's a hell of a player back home, isn't he?
Actually, from the Philippines, Payang Nepomuceno is probably the most recognized amateur bowler in the world. He's won, I think, in excess of 100 international tournaments, so he is no stranger to a podium, let me tell you.
Bronze medal for him on this occasion. Vernon takes his silver, well earned. And the customary flowers. And Pang will get a warm welcome when he climbs on the podium to take the bronze medal. They say he's as big back home as Michael Jordan is in the US. I'm not sure if that's true, but...
Well, I believe it is. I know the last time he won the World Cup, they did have a parade in his honor. There was thousands and thousands of people that turned out for that, so you may be right. He's comparable to Michael Jordan.
The sport is big, and it's in good shape. 463 to 430 in favour of Verbruggen. My thanks to Craig Woodhouse from the bowling at the World Games. Goodbye for now.